Hello, everyone, and welcome to another one of my reading and writing diaries. Today is Sunday, August 17th, 2014, and this week, I wrote 1,767 words, which means I'm up to 38,000, I was going to say 091, 38,091 words. So not quite out of the 30s doldrums, which I have been in for a while, but getting very close to the 40,000 mark, which I'm happy about because it means that I completed a significant amount of my book. And I would really like to get, I'd like to get it all done, but getting at least 50,000 words done would mean that I'm about halfway through, and I'm getting closer to that goal. Last time I did my video, I mentioned that I was having a lot of difficulty, and I only did, I think I only did 660 words or something like that in 2 weeks. So this week I managed to do almost 2,000 words in 1 week, which was very good. And I also actually wrote in the mornings when I was supposed to be writing. So that was good as well. And the kind of main scene that I'm doing in this chapter is working out well. I think I mentioned it's supposed to be kind of a big set piece. It's just kind of supposed to go for a long period, and you're kind of supposed to follow this character as he goes through. And I did realize part of the problem at the beginning was that I had kind of escalated it too much at the beginning, and I needed to de-escalate it and then kind of bring it down and make it more of a progression as it goes through. Like build it up, and that's been helping. And so I've been writing. It hasn't been as difficult to write because I've always had an idea of what I need to do next. At the same time, I find when I'm writing these long scenes is that my writing can reach a kind of level of banality. It just starts seeming very boring because well, I mean, a lot of it is just that it's scaffolding for the story, and I haven't quite figured out how to say the story in the right way. So when I'm just kind of, in some ways, I'm just kind of sketching out what the story is supposed to be doing. So yeah, it's not a very inspiring part of the process. Just checking to see if my video is working properly because I'm trying to do a better quality video this time. Yeah, so it's just part of the process that I'm doing. But part of what gets you through writing is the feeling like, oh, I'm a good writer, I should keep going. And if I look back at what I've written, I am not always that excited about what I've written. So that part is not going so well. I did try to fix some of the stuff that I'd written and kind of like make it seem a little bit more interesting. But, it's just the way it is. I have to keep going and soldier on. In general, I don't know if there's much else to say about that except I had an interesting conversation with someone yesterday, another writer that I know, and this writer has worked as a judge on grant juries, particularly for works in progress grants. And so he was actually he's telling me some of the things that he was looking for in his grant selection process or choosing the best works. Some of it was pretty it was pretty specific to the grant writing process, and then some of it was actually just in general in terms of tips in terms of writing. And it was interesting to know what my competition is in terms of, I mean, you shouldn't really think of your writing as being in competition, but in some ways it is, at least for a particular, in some cases, dollars that can help you complete your work. And, a lot of my competition is not necessarily things that I would even consider myself as being in competition with because I'm doing something so different. And that is, a lot of people write books because they are probably older and they have they've reached a certain age where they'd always been planning to write a book, and then they, at the end of their life, decide to write a book, and it kind of captures their life, and they have a very specific idea about what they want to do with this book, and it being, in some ways, a testament to their life. And so I have no problems with that. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing to do. I think everyone should be encouraged to write books, so I have no problems with that. But it's definitely not what I'm interested in doing. And um, but one thing that he was talking about that I thought was interesting and could definitely apply to my life was that he found that works that he found mysterious, uh, or they seemed wrong at the beginning, and then they gradually resolved into something unexpectedly right, were the ones that he was most interested in giving money to. And I think that's probably a very good observation, and something that I should keep in mind. I mean, part of the reason why I'm structuring the book the way I am is because I want that feeling of I want the feeling that as you go through the book, you slowly get a more rounder picture of um, the narrative, and that part of what is driving you through the narrative is the sense of mystery, if not necessarily like just a very simple like, oh, who did this crime kind of mystery, but like a mystery of how do all these pieces fit together, and then at the end, oh wait, they do fit all together, and that can be a very kind of satisfying feeling. So it made me feel better, and it made me kind of think, you know, tr- try to emphasize this aspect as you go through. And um, so yeah, I mean that to me was a kind of helpful thing to hear. I'm not applying for any works in progress grants right now. I really do feel like I need to get a first draft done before I can start thinking about revising, which will be one of the it will be a very essential part for my novel, because there's just so much. I have so much like kind of interweaving planned that I really do need to save that for the revision process, because I just can't do that right now. Um, so aside from that, I've been reading. I've been doing a little bit more reading this week, and I've been reading Our Lady of the Flowers by Jean Genet. And as I mentioned in my last video, I started reading this a while ago, but my copy was destroyed, and uh, it so I've read the beginning before, but I do remember when I was first reading it that I did not always understand it, and I still don't always understand it. Um, but in many ways, it's enjoyable. Like, I don't have an issue with it yet. It is exciting to me to see all the different things that he's trying in like a narrative way, like all the different techniques and things. Like, you could say the book is very postmodern in a way, but like an early form of postmodernism where he didn't necessarily always, it wasn't a kind of conscious decision to do certain things. It was just more of it feels like he's just experimenting, but it's experimenting in very exciting ways. So that's exciting to me. It also prompted me to write something this week. Not actually a short story, but kind of more of a nonfiction piece, because as I was reading it, I realized, A, that this book is it's not something I would ever write. I don't think I would ever have the ability to write something like this, but I deeply appreciate it, and I deeply respect it in a way, because um, there's an audacity to what he does that's very exciting, and I think like he's always doing different things, but that they have a delight to them. So the experimentalism doesn't feel like it's this academic project. It feels like a very rooted and grounded thing. And what I liked too was the feeling that I feel like sometimes some writers are they want to have this feeling of authenticity, or this feeling that what they're representing is a very real thing. And what I get excited about in this book is that Genet isn't always that focused on producing something that's real and and he's more interested in the extremes of human behavior rather than things that are relatable and things that make us connect with the people who are involved. And and that, I think, is exciting to me, and something that I feel like is not necessarily strongly appreciated in the fiction that I read or that I see a lot of in contemporary writing. I think there's a lot of experimental fiction, but it tends to be a much more dry um, work. It tends to be a little bit more bloodless, whereas this, yeah, Genet feels more like he's by excited by the strangeness of the world, and he wants to kind of capture that. And I guess that's his form of authenticity. But it's always he always wants to familiarize things rather than make them familiar. And I suppose that's what I find very exciting about him. And what I find not so exciting sometimes about uh, a lot of contemporary fiction is their desire to kind of reduce everything to things that we already know, or things that we already, basically it's always trying to find the humanity or the authenticity at the heart of things. And I don't think that's what I look for when I read. And so I was thinking I should do a nonfiction piece, like an essay about what I am searching for in fiction and what I would like to see more of in fiction. And um, and yeah, so the Genet inspired that. I wrote something. I wouldn't say it needs to be revised many times, so it's not perfect or anything. But I'm a little excited by it. And if I do get a chance to revise it, I'm going to try to submit it to some place this week. Um, so yeah, I mean, aside from the book, which I'm continuing to read slowly because it's very dense and difficult to read, actually, um, I actually have quite a lot to do this week. I'm finished one of my jobs for the summer. I have 2 weeks off, and so I've actually planned to spend this week um, focusing on revising some of the stories that I already have and uh, making them good enough to submit to places. So there's I have quite a few. I have about four stories that I want to work on. So I don't think I'm going to get all of them revised. I want to get at least one or two revised this week, and then have them ready to send out in the fall. And yeah, and hopefully I can get maybe this essay done. And I also have another essay that I kind of want to finish as well and submit. So we'll see. Hopefully I'll have time to do all this work this week, because I don't have other things to do. But yes, aside from that, that's what I'm going to be doing this week, and hopefully I'll be able to continue writing my novel. And yeah, I always feel like a sham and a failure, and that no one will really ever want to read this book. But I am continuing because that is who I am and what I'm going to continue doing. And yeah, that's basically it. So as I've received one lovely comment on my YouTube videos this week. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And if you do have any more comments, or questions, please do leave them on my YouTube videos, or you can always put them in my about box of this video and ask me things, tell me I'm a jerk, you know, that sort of thing. In any case, if you don't want to do that, I will hopefully see you next week. Have a good week. Bye-bye.